Good afternoon, everyone. How are we? A real quick and impromptu webinar today, and I thought I would touch on this webinar and dive a little bit deeper for you after we had a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and I did it on the values that they say a lot about you. And in that webinar, what I did was we went through about the values and how they are your guideposts as the authentic, grounded man. And the guideposts are the things that help you to make decisions. They help you to guide you with what you need if you're procrastinating or if you're unsure of what to do in a decision. The values are the things that are really important to help you and guide you to make those decisions, and they have priorities, etc. And in there we work through a tool, and that tool helps you to learn more about them, because often people unfortunately are stuck in a place where they think they know their values, but they're not clear and they're not got them in a priority system which helps them to where they spend their time, where they spend their effort, what's most important when they've got to make a decision. They're not clear on these things. And in the webinar, which is more what I was going to cover today, was that we in there I had this really short section on the authentic, grounded man qualities. And in that section, this is where I got a lot of feedback from people, and in particular got a lot of great feedback from women. And so what I thought I would do today is dive deeper into these sections to help get a bit of clarity there, so that for you guys here in this group, and eventually this recording is going to end up on the upcoming new website that's currently been redeveloped. This is going to be there so that people understand these are the core things that I work around when you come to coaching with me, or if you're working with conscious hypnosis. These are the qualities for which use and help to guide me as a coach that I use, and my framework for what I use with my coaching. So if these resonate with you, which certainly was the feedback I got the other day, I want you to dive in a little bit deeper in today's webinar and impromptu webinar that I'm running. Now, for you guys that are in the group, you already know who I am, you've already worked with me, or you know me, but I'm going to touch on this really quickly. If you guys in the website that are coming to have a look at this webinar, if you're having a look at this video right now, right up higher in the page, you would have seen a video about who I am. I'm not going to dive into it too quickly, but look, for me, this journey really started back in 2010 when I hit rock bottom, when I was overwhelmed, I was feeling depressed, when I, just everything in my life was heading downhill, yet I was at a career peak, my marriage is ending, I have all of these, I'm just not clear about who I was, and I eventually arrived to a decision where I decided I was never going to be the same person that I was before, because I had been living a life not aligned with my purpose, not aligned with my true masculine essence. And I had unfortunately been raised in a situation where it wasn't cool to be masculine or anything like that, and that wasn't true and congruent with my essence as who I am as a man, who I am with my masculine energy. And that's where I naturally and comfortably sit. And now I'm able to ebb and flow through that, which you would have heard in the videos earlier. And for you guys that know me, I do move around between those. But in my essence, in my core, where I naturally sit is in my masculine essence, and that's my natural energy. And so that's where these qualities came from, because in my journey I sought out a relationship coach and someone who was where I am today. And even today, in my journey, in my path, I have met a beautiful, the woman of my dreams, the woman I got really crystal clear on who I wanted to stand beside, her values, what we would share, the direction that we would take our life, and raising a family. And as a result, I now have that child, and we are raising that child aligned with our values, aligned with our direction, comfortable with who I am right now. And that is something that is authentically aligned with me. And so in in the last couple of weeks, I thought I would, going back to what are the qualities of the authentic man. And now the qualities of the authentic man are certainly things that, like I just explained to you, they're the things that I use now to help guide me with my family, to find the woman I wanted to stand beside in this journey. I found her and I'm now here. When I started, and before I started to start my family in terms of having kids, what I ended up doing was I actually also went out and sought and found parents, or people obviously, but their parents, and those parents had children for whom I kind of looked at and I went, how did you raise your kids like that? And what is really interesting in my journey, when I started this journey back in 2010, was a lot of the qualities that I began to see in how those kids were raised as the father figure of that family are again aligned here with this authentic that I have here in front of you on this screen. I'll dive into that in a little bit second. But again, these qualities that I'm sharing with you today again align with the kind of man that I wanted to be in terms of how I wanted to stand up, my authentic, true, grounded self. And as I began my coaching journey, as more men have come to me, and women as well, that have wanted to find their authentic selves, because ultimately the process of finding your authentic self, we can extrapolate that either way, male or female, again, have different values, different priorities, different energies. But again, you can use these qualities to help you to move forward, to create your life with purpose, so that you live aligned with what you want to have, not what the culture currently says things should be. So again, I went out and I sourced parents, and I went, how did you raise your kids? What were the qualities that you raised with your kids? And again, I saw this trend in what people were saying to me. And so that's why I'm sharing this video with you today. So I spoke to my wife and she helped me to do this. She's awesome with how to put words together, and I thank her very much for that. And so what we're going to learn today is we're going to learn about these qualities as authentic. So let's dive into them. Let's dive into that straight away. The first thing we're going to look at is the A in authentic, and that is the authentic grounded man is accountable for his actions. 100% accountable for his actions. He takes responsibility for his actions. Now what that means is that he is responsible, 100% responsible for the way that he acts, the way that he responds, the emotions or the triggers or whatever it is that's within him. He is also accountable, because quite often, men, we're quite accountable. The authentic grounded man is accountable because he understands the power and the strength that he has inside of him and does not abuse that power. And that's incredibly important. He does not abuse the power that he has inside of him. So the second part of the authentic is the U, and that is he's unashamed to be vulnerable. He's unashamed to show his real feelings, which means we also need to understand our feelings. We need to be in touch with the emotions that are inside of us. And let's dive into that a little bit deeper, because I see this with, it doesn't matter if I work with coaching clients or if I work with hypnosis clients when I'm working with them, quite often they've detached themselves from emotions. Now, again, from a cultural perspective, quite often we're told as men, we're raised to not feel our emotions. And that can be, toughen up. I shared with that in the last webinar. Other things that people say to us that basically disregard emotions. Now, this is where, as a coach, we work with people quite often at an emotional level, because these things begin to boil up, they bottle up inside of us. Now, so we have three main ways that we see the world and we take in the world. Now, I've touched these on many other webinars. I might pop them up here on the screen on the YouTube a little bit later. But the three main areas that we have in how we see the world is through our vision, our auditory, and how we feel about things. And these are the main receptors that we take in from the world. So we can't be we need to be in touch with them, in touch with our real feelings, and we're not ashamed of them. We need to understand that your masculine energy and who you are, you're unashamed of that. You understand that your best is enough. Your best is always enough. Now, you also choose to approach disagreements with openness and vulnerability. You're unashamed to approach them with that. You need to be vulnerable. If you've seen any of Brené Brown's work, you understand that her work is around vulnerability and shame. When you see that work, you see the core foundations that she works to help businesses grow and develop is around vulnerability and shame. So you, as the authentic, grounded man, you're not ashamed of being vulnerable, being opened. You're not ashamed of accessing feelings and accessing them from your heart. And that's what takes us into the second part here. And that is that you have control over your emotions. And unfortunately, this is where we hear that people lose control in the moment and these eruptions explode. They take over someone. And then we blame emotions. Oh, this event happened, and that was what caused me to release all these built up and held in emotions. So as an authentic, grounded man, you are in tune with your emotions. You have control over your emotions. You have control over them in disagreements. And what you also do is learn to get out of this head, because often you're stuck in your head. Then you erupt to get things out because you haven't been able to learn how to process the emotions that are inside of you. You might run away. You might sense your woman is having an emotional moment, and you don't know how to deal with it. And in your head, you're like, oh, I can't deal with this, so I'm going to run away and not deal with it. Meanwhile, she's simmering over here in the corner. And what she really needs is, because you haven't learned how to control your emotions in those moments, when she really just needs that attention and your presence. You have, as the authentic grounded man, you're aware of this. You have control over your emotions, and you're able to, in that situation, be able to be present with your partner. Now, we're moving around to the H within authentic, and that is has integrity. And this is one of the core things, and this is around your values, is that you're honest, you're 100% accountable for your actions, how you respond. You say what you mean what you say. This is incredibly important, because you don't have to be rude, you don't have to be angry, you don't have to attack someone, but you can still say what you mean and mean what you say. Not just speaking for the sake of speaking. You have integrity around your actions. You don't just be on the latest trend or the whatever else is going on. You have integrity around your actions. You follow through with what you say. And you're also not too proud to say sorry. Like, it's not hard to say sorry when you're wrong, because we are wrong. And it's okay to say sorry. Now, you're also empathetic and you listen. You do listen. Yes, you have purpose. You have drive. You know what direction. You have values that are guiding you with you. But you're also able to listen and be present. You're able to listen and be present. A big one here is not alpha male, and this is where the distinctions come for the authentic, grounded man, because mature masculine listens. It's not all about them. It's not about running around and going, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm working out. Yes, you can be fit, but it's not about how big, how dominating, how strong you are. I'm the person who owns the room, blah, blah, blah. It's a load of crap. I've seen so many strong, powerful, present men that show up into a room who are not beating their chest up, trying to say, hey, look at me, look at me. Yet their presence, you know that they're there. One of my role models, and certainly one of my mentors who I respect considerably, when he shows up into a room, he's quiet, but man, you know he's there. I've seen him with a group of guys and he just owns it. He doesn't consider himself alpha at all, but his presence, who he is, people just shut up and listen. They just shut up and listen. He doesn't talk much, but he listens. And you know what? I respect him. And if he asks me to do something, I do it. Often. Why? Because he just has this nice, commanding presence when he's there. He ain't alpha, but shit, he owns the room. And so this is where the authentic, grounded man is present. They're aware of their presence, but they're not going around beating themselves up on their chest saying, hey, look at me, look at me. The other thing that the other person, the authentic, grounded man, and they're not being alpha when you're present in a relationship, you show mutual love and respect for your partner. And this is another differentiating point, and this is where when I'm speaking to women and they come and talk to me about from a relationship perspective, they come and talk to me and ask me about these things. Yes, they're with a man who has purpose and drive, but they're not mature yet. And they haven't learned how to transition that point over to being more mature, where it's not about them. They're showing that love, mutual respect, understanding. You can have purpose. You can take your woman. You can surprise them, because a woman loves that surprise that you're able to take them on. And we're going away this weekend, and you're taking them on a trip, and they surprise, and you've got that direction, but you're also listening to them. You respect them. Yeah, there's a big difference in there. To me, I see a big divide. I see a big difference here between those different qualities, and those are often where the problems lie, between the masculine and the feminine energy. When we go on to T of authentic, so T is you're true to your values. You do not compromise them at all. You do not compromise on your values. And we're coming back to integrity. You don't take shortcuts. You're not looking for the shortest way possible. You're not lying and cheating. You're authentically grounded. You know your values. You're not going to compromise them. You use them to help you with guide decisions, where you invest your time. As a coach, when I working with someone, so let's just define a coach here for a second. Coach is about getting you from point A over to point B. They're the people that are looking from the outside in to where you currently are to help you get across to that secondary place. This isn't about therapy, going back and talking about all our mums and dads or whatever issues you want to go back into your past with. We have process which we go back, we help create defining moments, or we change perspective, we change a lens around them. But for us, this is about getting you from point A to point B and helping you to get there in the best possible way. That's what a coach does. That's what a coach does on a football field. That's what a coach does with tennis or whatever sport. If you look at golf, whatever it is, a coach is helping the player see things that they don't able to see to help them to get to their main goal. If you look at motor racing as well, each time those drivers have to go out onto a new different circuit, they've got to use different sets of skills to help them get that car around safely. They can't see that from inside the vehicle. There is a team of people outside of them providing them guidance and advice, because each time that car's going to respond differently to the circuit, if that's what you're into. That's what a coach is doing. Yep. So I just wanted to clarify that while we're here in this section, because when we're looking at values, when you're looking at not getting from point A to point B, your values, when we look at the long-term effect of having strong, clear values, it's where you're spending your time, putting your energy. You don't compromise on that, what your priorities are, because when a decision's got to be made, those priorities and how you've prioritized your values will help you to get you close, because you want to be able to make sure you keep taking those steps forward towards your end goal. Alright, so next is the I in authentic, and that is assertive when required. You're not a pushover. You're not passive. But again, you're not aggressive. It's just finding that fine line of where to sit, that you are assertive. You know where you are. You're not rude. You know how to escalate conversations as required. One of the things I've shared with some people when I was out to prove, and that was a big thing. Assertive is not proving, and the authentic grounded man isn't out to prove anything. They don't need to prove anything, because they just are. They're present. They know who they are. But when I was starting out in my nursing career, I was really insecure about who I was and where I was going. Now, there's a algorithm that we use and when I was working for Queensland Health, and it was the PASS, and it was how we escalate conversations in order to keep patient safety our number one focus. But often what I would do is jump to the S, because I was constantly out to prove, and I was being assertive because that person wasn't listening, instead of starting off at the P and working our way up to a conversation. And it took me about 8 years before I started to change my approach, when I stopped having to try and prove myself and learned how to escalate conversations, escalate the quality of that conversation. And starting off at the P and working my way up, that I actually found I had developed better relationships. I was very clear in my communications. I often got better results. I got the team on board, but I was assertive. I knew where I was going. I was clear on my direction. Even though I was speaking to professors, doctors, cardiology specialists, it didn't matter. I don't care who I talk to in that hospital. Even now, I can walk into the hospital environment. It doesn't matter who I'm speaking to. I'm still assertive. I'm still direct. I can be polite, and I can escalate the conversation when I need to be, and I can be authentic and real in there. And it's a completely different approach to it. So it's not about being rude or escalating out to prove something. You have to learn how to escalate your conversation to get it in the direction that you want to be able to take it. All right. So it's great to have that clarity and the meaning around this, so that when you're developing yourself, when you're growing, when you're finding your authentic qualities, that you get clear on the meaning here. Is the message here of what I'm saying to you, is that you need to be very clear on the meaning that you're attaching to being assertive. All right. The next point is around you're confident in the C. You know who you are. You don't have anything to prove, and I just touched that on the last point, on the I. You've got nothing to prove. This is in relationships to others, fights, anything like that. None of these things. You don't have things to prove, but you will defend yourself if you have to. You will be assertive. You will stand up. But you're confident enough to know who you are. My mate, the way he just shows up into a room, he is not an alpha by all means, but his confidence, his presence, he knows where he is, he knows how to listen, he's vulnerable, he hears what people are saying, he picks up on the vibe of the room, and as the result, when he speaks, he says, no, we need to do this, we need to do this. I've seen him manage rooms, I've seen him manage teams. People listen and he gets results because he's tapped into all of those resources, and then he's confident when he shows up. He's also confident to listen, to say sorry as well, and that shows respect and integrity for the people in the room, and we listen more. So that's the core qualities of what is the authentic, grounded man. So that is accountable, unashamed, takes control of his emotions, has integrity, empathetic and listens, not an alpha male, true to his values, is assertive when required, and confident. All right, guys. So that was my quick webinar today. I hope that was super helpful for you all. When I got really clear on these qualities, and it's the things that are driving me with the coaching and with the conscious hypnosis, these are the things that I work from all the time. These are the qualities that often people are coming to talk to me, especially about relationships, or whether or not they're looking to make changes around weight loss, smoking, and stress and anxiety. So when I'm working with you guys, these are the qualities that I am working from that guide the authentic grounded man coaching services. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you today. I will catch you later.